Have you ever wondered if sometimes the healthiest thing you can do for yourself is to step away from the people who raised you? What if I told you that one of the most famous celebrity families in the world is currently dealing with this exact dilemma? And it might change everything you think you know about family loyalty. We're living in an age where family dynamics are more complicated than ever before. Social media has made private conflicts visible to the whole world, as we've seen with the recent, very widely reported distance between Brooklyn Beckham and his parents. But when does setting boundaries cross the line into complete estrangement? And more importantly, when is walking away from family actually the right choice? I understand how complex and painful family estrangement can be, both professionally and personally, as well as working with it every day as a psychologist. I have lived through estrangement in my own family. I'm Dr. Sam, a clinical chartered psychologist and family estrangement expert. Today we're diving deep into one of the most controversial family situations making headlines right now. And I'm going to break down the psychology behind family estrangement, the warning signs that it might indicate it's time to step back, and the long-term consequences of making this incredibly difficult decision. But first, let's talk about what's happening with the Beckham family, because their situation actually perfectly illustrates how complex these decisions can become. So, Brooklyn Beckham, the eldest son of football legend David Beckham and fashion icon Victoria Beckham, recently made waves by publicly addressing his strained relationship with his family. So, of course, the specifics remain private, although sources have suggested that disagreements over his career choices and marriage and lifestyle have created significant tension. This isn't just celebrity drama though. Brooklyn's situation actually represents a growing trend among young adults who are choosing to prioritise their mental health and their personal growth over maintaining difficult family relationships. But what makes this case particularly interesting is how public scrutiny has amplified every aspect of this very personal decision. So here's what most people don't understand about family estrangement. It's rarely a sudden decision. It's usually the result of years of accumulated hurt, unresolved conflicts, and failed attempts at reconciliation. But when does someone finally decide to step back from their family? Usually they've typically exhausted every other option. So when is stepping back from family actually a good choice? Okay. Let's explore the key indicators around this. First, when your family relationships are consistently damaging your mental health, this goes beyond normal family disagreements or occasional tension. We're talking about situations where interactions with family members leave you feeling anxious, depressed, emotionally drained, and this could be for days or weeks afterwards. If you find yourself dreading those family get-togethers, making excuses to avoid phone calls, or feeling like you need to recover from every interaction, these are serious red flags. I know this not just professionally, but personally. There was a time when every phone call with my mother left me feeling emotionally drained and low. Our conversations often revolved entirely around her needs and problems, and there was little space for me, and I would come away feeling more like a source of support than a daughter. And over time, I began to notice how consistently depleted I felt after contact, and that awareness became an important turning point. Second, when there's a toxic pattern of abuse or behaviour that shows no signs of changing, and that includes emotional manipulation, it could be gaslighting, verbal abuse, or any form of physical violence. Many people stay in harmful family relationships because they believe blood relations should be unconditional. But the reality is that abusive behaviour from family members can be even more damaging than abusive behaviour from strangers because of that emotional investment that's involved. Third, when your family actively undermines your goals, value, or identity. This is one I see very common in my practice. If your family consistently criticises your life choices or tries to control major decisions or even refuses to respect your boundaries as an adult, stepping back might be necessary for your personal growth. Now, this seems particularly relevant to Brooklyn Beckham's situation, where career expectations and lifestyle choices appear to be quite a major source of conflict. Fourth, when attempts at communication and boundary setting have repeatedly failed, that's another challenge. Healthy families can work through disagreements and they can respect one another's boundaries. But when family members consistently ignore your requests for space, refuse to acknowledge their harmful behaviour, or to continue patterns that hurt you despite multiple conversations, distance might become the only effective solution. Okay, now let's address the elephant in the room though, the guilt and the social pressure that comes with these decisions. Society teaches us that family should come first, that blood is thicker than water, and that we should forgive and forget no matter what. But these cultural expectations often ignore the reality of truly dysfunctional family dynamics. And the truth is that stepping back from family can be incredibly liberating and healing. When you remove yourself from consistently negative interactions, you actually create space for personal growth, for healthier relationships, and more importantly, improved mental health. But many people who make this difficult choice actually report feeling a sense of relief that they just didn't expect. I know I did. But it's not without consequences. Family estrangement often comes with significant emotional costs. You might experience grief for the family relationships you wished you could have had. There's often social stigma and judgment from others who don't understand your situation. It's so common. And holiday seasons and major life events can become particularly challenging when you're navigating them without family support. And of course, it brings it into the spotlight. And then for celebrities like the Beckhams, these challenges are amplified by that public scrutiny. Every interaction's become tabloid fodder, making private reconciliation actually much more difficult because the pressure to maintain a perfect public image makes it even harder to adjust. So how do you actually know if you're making the right decision? I remember asking myself this over and over again. And for me, it wasn't like I woke up one day and decided, that's it, I'm done. It was a build-up. I had tried to explain how I felt so many times, but my concerns were either dismissed or minimised or just completely invalidated. It got to a point where I realised there wasn't going to be any real acknowledgement, no accountability, and the behaviour that was hurting me, it just kept continuing. And that's when the question started. Had I actually communicated clearly? Yes, more than once. Had I given opportunities for things to change? Honestly, yes, probably more than I should have. So then I had to ask myself something much harder. Why am I stepping away? And if I'm really honest, at that time, it wasn't just self-care. There was a lot of anger and a lot of hurt, but self-protection was in there too. I just didn't have the language for it. And something else that's really important, this hasn't been a straight line for me. I haven't always been estranged. I've gone in and out of contact over the years, tried again, pulled back again. It's been messy and very personal because every family dynamic is different and there's no universal right way to do this. Family relationships should enhance your life, not consistently diminish it. And if your family relationships are doing more harm than good, despite your best efforts to improve them, stepping back might be exactly what you need to do to create space for healing and growth. Also, very important, you can't compare your situation to someone else's and expect it to fit. For some people, space creates room for things to improve. For others, it becomes clear that limited contact or even no contact is what they need long term. Both are valid. What matters is being honest with yourself about why you're making the decision and whether it's actually supporting your well-being. One thing I will say though, this is not something you have to figure out alone. If you can, having a therapist, especially one who understands family estrangement, can make a huge difference, because this isn't just about making a decision, it's about processing everything that comes with it, because no one really talks about this part, and that's the grief. Not just the grief for the relationship as it is, but for what it never was, the childhood you wish you'd had, the support you hoped would be there in the future. That's a really heavy thing to carry. And something else I've learned is that this kind of decision doesn't just affect you, it ripples out across siblings, extended family, and even future relationships, non-familial ones too. It's never just one person stepping away, it shifts the entire system. But with all of that said, here's the part I really want you to hold on to. Choosing your mental health and your well-being over a relationship that is hurting you is not selfish. It's actually incredibly brave. because walking away from people you love, even when they're causing you pain, is one of the hardest things you can do. So whether you're in the middle of this right now or you're trying to support someone who is, just remember there's no one size fits all answer here. Your situation is your own, and the most important thing is that your decisions come from your truth, not from pressure, not from guilt, and not from how things might look to other people on the outside. What do you think about Brooklyn Beckham's situation? Have you ever had to make difficult decisions about family relationships? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if this video has helped you think through a challenging situation, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content about navigating life's toughest decisions.